Alrighty, folks, welcome to my college football free pick video here today for Saturday, November 15th, 2025. Happy Saturday to you. Hopefully you had a great start to the weekend. And if you're joining me for the first time here today, my name is Brock Page. I've been dishing out free sports picks on YouTube since 2016. Of course, if you want to see which one of the games on the slate here this week that I actually like the best, you may want to think about signing up for my college football package on my premium page. You'll get 3 college football plays every single week for the next 30 days. And as an added bonus, you're also going to get access to all of my cheaper memberships during that time frame, absolutely free. Going to be included with your membership. And with that, folks, we're going to dive right into some free content. Going to start off with Notre Dame taking on Pitt. That's going to be a 12 o'clock Eastern kickoff. Notre Dame's minus 12.5. Total is 54 and a hook. And even though the Irish are heavily favored in this one, it's actually Pitt who's played some real tough defense at Heinz Field this year. Yep, I said Heinz Field. I said it. Can't bring myself to calling it that other name. Just can't do it. The Panthers are allowing just 20 points a game at home. Top 5 in the nation in rushing defense on their own field. Braylon Lovelace leads the D in tackles. Biles and Lewis with over 100 tackles combined between the both of them. And they're taking on a Notre Dame squad who failed to cover in 3 out of their last 5. Failures to cover against the likes of Boston College, USC, and Boise State. And even though there's really not much to nitpick about when it comes to this Notre Dame offense, they are in the bottom 25 in the country in offensive time of possession on the road. Now, Irish games went 4-1 to the under in their last 5. Pitt with unders recently against Syracuse, Boston College, and West Virginia. I like Pitt plus 12.5, under 54 and a hook. All right, next game, going to be Michigan taking on Northwestern. That's going to be a unique matchup. It's a 12 o'clock Eastern kickoff at Wrigley Field in Chicago. Michigan's minus 9.5, totals 42. The Wolverines are 7-2 on the year, allowing just 17 points per contest. And I'll tell you what, the Wolverines have been especially tough against the run this year. They've got a top 15 rushing defense. Ernest Hausman leads the D in tackles. Derek Moore with 8.5 sacks on the year. And they're taking on a Northwestern squad who's been little threat throwing the football this year. They're actually throwing it for just $1.89 a game. Bottom 20 in the country in that category. They've also taken the loss in 3 of 4 away from home. Failed to cover the point spread this year against the likes of USC, Nebraska, and UCLA. Both schools with unders in 4 out of their last 7 respectively. Plenty of unders to go around. I like Michigan minus 9.5, under 42. Arizona taking on Cincinnati, 12 o'clock East. Cincy's minus 6, total is 56. The Bearcats are 7-2 on the year, doing a great job running the football. And aside from averaging 37 points a game at home, the Bearcats are toting it for nearly 200 yards a game on the ground. They're actually a top 25 rushing offense. Taway Walker leads the team in rushing yards. Evan Pryor is averaging 7.2 yards a carry. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, this is a 9 o'clock game for Arizona coming over here from the West Coast. The Wildcats dropped 2 of 3 away from campus this season, and they allowed nearly 30 points a game in those road games. Now, total-wise, both schools with overs in 4 out of their last 6, respectively. I like Cincinnati minus 6, over 56. All right, next game, Arkansas LSU, 12:45 East. LSU's minus 5, totals 57.5. And I actually think the Tigers will have some issues defensively in this one. They're facing an Arkansas team who's averaging over 35 points a game, top 25 passing offense. Taylor Green's thrown for nearly 2,400 yards and 19 touchdowns. He's also rushed it. He's rushed it into the end zone 6 times on the ground. And speaking of running, Mike Washington's rushed for 828 yards, averaging 6.5 yards a carry. Of course, at the moment, the Razorbacks are a top 10 rushing team on the road, averaging 7.3 yards per play from scrimmage. Razorbacks with overs in their last 3 straight, 7-1 of the over in their last 8. Meanwhile, LSU saw overs recently against Texas A&M and Vanderbilt. I like Arkansas +5, over 57.5. All right, next game, Iowa USC, 3:30 Eastern start. USC is -7, totals 48.5. USC is 7-2 on the year. Iowa's 6-3 themselves, and the Hawkeyes have covered the point spread in 7 out of their last 8 games. It's a great covering team. It's a physical defense who's very tough to prepare for. The Hawkeyes allowed just 13 points a game. It's a top 5 passing defense in the country. Carson Sherrar with the most tackles on the defense. Llewellyn and Herkett with double-digit sacks between the both of them. And listen, there's not much to nitpick about when it comes to USC on the other side. This is a great football team, but they haven't been great against the number over the past month or so. They actually failed to cover in 4 out of their last 7. Failures to cover against the likes of Michigan State, Purdue, and Illinois. They also saw unders in 4 out of those 7 contests. Iowa with unders recently against Oregon, Wisconsin, and the Indiana Hoosiers. I like Iowa +7, under 48.5. All right, next game, Oklahoma taking on Alabama, 3:30 Eastern start. Bama's -5.5, totals 46. The Tide's 8-1 on the year, 5-0 at Bryant-Denny Stadium. The Tide's allowing just 11 points a game in Tuscaloosa. Top 10 passing defense. Jefferson leads the D in tackles. Lawson and Hubbard with nearly 100 tackles between the both of them. They're facing an Oklahoma offense who tends to shut down late in games. The Sooners are in the bottom 15 in fourth quarter points on the road. When it comes to the number, the Sooners failed to cover in 3 out of their last 5. Failures to cover against the likes of Ole Miss, Texas, and Kent State. Sooners with unders in all of their contests this year except for 2. Bama games went 5-1 at the under in their last 6. I like Alabama -5.5, under 46. Next game, Penn State, Michigan State, 3:30 East. Penn State's -7.5, totals 49 and a hook. The Nittany Lions have lost 6 straight games. It's one of the worst covering teams in the nation. Out of 9 total contests this year, Penn State failed to cover in all of those games except for 2. And I'll tell you what, it's an offensive unit who's been little threat throwing the football. They're averaging just 146 yards a game through the air in their travels. And they're facing a Michigan State squad who's done a real nice job against the point spread recently. They covered in their last 3 straight, 5-1 against the spread in their last 6. Jordan Hall with 70 tackles on the year. Matthews and Van Sumeren with nearly 90 tackles between the both of them. Sparty with unders recently against Minnesota, UCLA, and Western Michigan. Penn State with unders recently against Northwestern and Florida International. I like Michigan State +7.5, under 49 and a hook. All right, next game, Virginia taking on Duke. That's going to be a 3:30 Eastern kickoff. Duke's -4.5, totals 59. The Blue Devils are 5-4 on the year. Virginia's 8-2. The Cavaliers are averaging 34 points a game on offense, winners of 7 out of their last 8. They're facing a Duke team on the other side who's got a losing record at home. Secondary's been brutal. The Blue Devils are in the bottom 10 in the nation in passing defense. No real surprise here. Duke allows over 6.1 yards per play from scrimmage. Blue Devils with overs in all of their contests except for 2. Virginia with unders against Florida State, Stanford, and NC State. I like Virginia +4.5, over 59. All right, next game, Memphis taking on East Carolina. That's going to be a 4 o'clock Eastern kickoff, not located on our big screen, but it's ECU who's -3.5, totals 58. East Carolina 6-3 on the year. Memphis 8-2. The Tigers are averaging 37 points a game on the road this year. Top 20 rushing offense in their travels. Sutton Smith leads the team in rushing yards. DeRoziers and Peasant averaging over 5.2 yards per rush combined. 14 total touchdowns between the both of them on the ground. And they're facing an ECU team who failed to cover in 3 out of their last 4 failures to cover against the likes of Charlotte, Tulsa, and Tulane. When it comes to the total, both schools with overs in their last 3 straight, respectively. I like Memphis plus 3.5 over 58. All right, next matchup, Utah Baylor, 7 o'clock East. Utah's minus 8.5. Total is 60.5. The Utes are averaging 40 points a game on offense. They've got a top 3 rushing offense as well. Wayshawn Parker leads the team in rushing, averaging nearly 7.1 yards per carry. Dampier and Rogers with 13 touchdowns on the ground combined, and they're facing a shaky Baylor defense who's definitely struggled against the ground game. They've got a bottom 25 rushing defense, allowing nearly $180 a game on the ground. Bears with overs in 3 out of their last 5. Utah games went 4-1 to the over in their last 5 themselves. I like Utah minus 8.5 over 60.5. All right, next contest. Texas taking on Georgia, 7:30 East. Georgia's minus 6, totals 49.5. And of course, we are looking at 2 stifling defenses in this one. The Bulldogs allowed just 74 yards a game on the ground in Athens. Excuse me. Texas, they've got a top 3 rushing defense themselves. Longhorns with unders against the likes of Kentucky, Oklahoma, and UTEP. Georgia with unders recently against Florida, Auburn, and Alabama. When it comes to selecting a winner in this one, this game is being featured as today's daily best play on my premium page. But as far as making a free pick is concerned, I like the under 49.5. Virginia Tech, Florida State, 7:30 East. FSU's minus 13.5. Totals 55.5. Now, the Noles have scored a whole lot of points in Tallahassee this season, averaging 45 points a game at Doak Campbell. Top 10 rushing offense on their own field. Gavin Sawchuk, 8 scores on the ground, team leader in rushing. Usman Kroma, averaging nearly 6.1 yards per rush. And they're facing a Hokie defense on the other side who allows 30 points a game, giving up nearly 6 yards per play from scrimmage. Hokies with overs against Cal, Wake Forest, and Vanderbilt. Seminole home games went 4-2 to the over themselves. I like Florida State minus 13.5 over 55.5. All right, next game, Mississippi State taking on Missouri, 7:45 East. Missouri's minus 7.5, totals 52. And even though they are favored at home, the Tigers lost 3 out of their last 4. Offense has been pretty lost without Bo Pribula. Of course, when it comes to the point spread, Missouri hasn't really covered many numbers over the past few months. They failed to cover in 5 out of their last 6 ball games, and they're facing a Mississippi State squad who's one of the better covering teams in the nation. They covered in 80% of their contests this year. Offense has done a nice job putting up points over the past month or so. The Bulldogs averaged 30 points a game in their last 4 outings. Blake Shapin's thrown for over 2,200 yards. Thompson and Evans with nearly 1,500 receiving yards combined. Double-digit scores between the both of them. Bulldogs with overs in their last 3 straight. Missouri with overs against Texas A&M, South Carolina, and Kansas. I like Mississippi State plus 7.5 over 52. TCU, BYU, 10:15 East. BYU's minus 2.5, totals 51.5. The Cougs are 8-1 on the year, scoring a whole lot of points in Provo. BYU averages 40 points a game at home, nearly 250 yards a game on the ground on their own field. LJ Martin's gained 824 yards on the ground this year, 5.8 yards per carry. And quarterback Bear Bachmeier is responsible for 21 total touchdowns as well. And they're facing a TCU defense who just can't seem to get off the field. They're actually in the bottom 30 in the nation in defensive time of possession. They're also in the bottom 5 in passing defense. TCU with overs against Baylor, Kansas State, and North Carolina. BYU with overs in 3 out of their last 5. I like BYU minus 2.5 over 51.5. And with that, we're going to jump into our next and final breakdown for the video. Boise State taking on San Diego State, 10:30 Eastern start. San Diego State's minus 2.5, totals 42. I'll tell you what, both squads playing some exceptional defense, respectively. The Aztecs, they're allowing just 7 points a game at home this year, 3.6 yards per play in their own stadium. Meanwhile, Boise State on the other side, they've got a top 15 passing defense. They're rarely on the field. As a matter of fact, the Broncos are in the top 3 in the nation in defensive time of possession on the road. Now, total-wise, both schools with unders in 3 out of their last 5, respectively. When it comes to selecting a winner in this one, this game is being featured as today's Gold Club tier membership play on my premium page. But as far as making a free pick is concerned, I like the under 42. And with that, folks, now it's time for our quick pick recap. I like Pitt plus 12.5, under 54 and a hook. Michigan Wolverines minus 9.5, under 42. UConn minus 7, over 64. Ball State plus 3, over 49. Kansas State minus 19, over 50.5. Texas A&M minus 17, under 50. South Florida minus 9.5, over 62.5 points. Texas San Antonio minus 17, over 58. Indiana minus 29, under 44. Cincinnati minus 6, over 56. Arkansas plus 5, over 57.5. Tulsa plus 2, over 50. Arizona State minus 11.5, under 48. Kentucky minus 22, under 53. Marshall minus 7, over 62. North Texas minus 17, over 69. New Mexico minus 14, over 53.5. UTEP plus 5, under 49. James Madison minus 20.5, over 52 and a hook. Georgia Tech minus 16.5, over 61. Iowa plus 7, under 48.5. Maryland plus 16, under 52. Western Kentucky minus 13.5, under 55. Miami Hurricanes minus 14, over 55.5. Alabama minus 5.5, under 46. Michigan State plus 7.5, under 49 and a hook. San Jose State minus 9, over 48. South Alabama minus 3.5, over 49. Texas State plus 3.5, over 65 and a hook. Texas Tech minus 23.5, under 48.5 points. Virginia Cavaliers plus 4.5, over 59. Florida Atlantic plus 17.5, under 63. Memphis plus 3.5, over 58. New Mexico State plus 41, over 60. North Carolina plus 6, under 39. Florida International plus 3, under 52. Georgia Southern minus 2.5, over 60. Delaware minus 10, over 56. Ole Miss minus 11.5, under 53.5 points. Washington Huskies minus 16.5, over 51. Utah minus 8.5, over 60 and a hook. UNLV minus 5.5, over 68. Give me the under 49.5 in that Texas-Georgia matchup. Ohio State minus 33, under 48. Florida State minus 13.5, over 55 and a hook. Mississippi State plus 7.5, over 52. Jacksonville State plus 3.5, over 56. I like the under 44 in that Louisiana Tech-Washington State matchup. BYU minus 2.5, over 51 and a hook. Give me the under 42 in that Boise-San Diego State matchup. And give me Fresno State minus 3, under 40.5. And with that, folks, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on my premium page. And if you do end up getting a membership here today on my premium site, just a friendly reminder, you're going to get access to that membership every single day for the next 30 days. And as an added bonus, you're also going to get access to all of my cheaper memberships during that time frame, absolutely free, going to be included with your membership. Of course, that's why I always tell folks that Gold Club package, it's a full access, all-inclusive membership. Gives you access to every single premium selection of mine, every single package, every single day for the next 30 days. But most importantly, folks, got to thank you for joining me right here on the free video. Really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. I tell you, most days, I love producing free content. I love getting videos out there that you guys don't have to pay for. You can just enjoy them for free. And with that, folks, happy Saturday to you. Best of luck to you. I look forward to seeing you later on today on my premium page.